Mhm. Yes. Okay, we in there. Testing, testing. What's up, loved ones? Welcome to the Respectfully Great Podcast, and I am your host, Johnny Reed. Today, we're going to have a wonderful, dope experience. We have somebody that's coming through today. That is my brother that is doing his thing out there in real time. Super pumped, super ecstatic. There's so many things that we all going to learn together. And I want to bring you along for the ride because I'm on this ride as well. And I want to see what's going on out there with my brother as well as his mindset. So, without further ado, let me add him to the stage. Oh, yeah, we in
Yo,
Vegas.
yo,
Yes, sir.
what's
How
going on,
you?
family?
I'm blessed. How you feeling, family?
Not like you, but I'm trying, bro.
Nah, you doing it. You are doing it. Let me see something really quick. Sorry for the mishap. Let me change. Ba, 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 ba. Here. Audio default. Okay, switch this around. Yo, yo, yo.
Yo,
Yeah, I got you. Had to switch something around. Testing the audio, but
but it was like cause you could hear me double on your side, right?
absolutely. So I had to switch it over in StreamYard to Duo Chat. Figure that out. So
Gotcha.
the loved ones. We are in the building today. Oh man, we have a very, very special guest in the building today, and I'm super pumped, super ecstatic. You know, I'd be remiss if I didn't do the proper introduction. So you know I gotta have a proper introduction. So we're gonna start it off like this. The greatest fight we'll ever face isn't out there. It's actually in here. It's me versus me. Today we have a very special guest who has created a brand out of the innermost thoughts that we all experience. The things that we say to ourselves that no one else hears. If you can imagine what that may look like, you are now staring at it. Me versus me, the brand. With the biggest round of respect, I want to introduce the creator of the brand and the one that's behind it all, my brother, Raul Perez.
What's going on, bro? Yeah, I appreciate everything. I appreciate you having me on. Like I said, like we spoke before, bro. It's a blessing. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. Oh man, I'm super pumped and I'm super ecstatic. I often get very excited when people come up because it's a testament to who you are and how much you care and you actually extending your hand and your arms to come and share some of your experiences with me and the rest of our audience. So I commend you on that alone. Um, what I want to first start off with before we get started with anything, how are you feeling today?
I'm blessed and highly favored, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm not where I want to be, but I'm definitely not where I was before. And
Mm,
like I said, there's a lot of people that are doing a lot worse off than I am. So I really, I can't complain, bro. We
truly,
woke up today. You know what I'm saying? It's life is too short. You know that.
absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? But nah, I'm good, bro.
Damn man, before we even get started, we have a comment, and I want to highlight it really quick. Let's read it together. It says from Elizabeth Abrego. I want to say thank you for the hoodie. I love it. I love it. The details and it's fire.
I appreciate that.
Super
I
dope.
know she got a bigger size, but like I said, I wanted to get her something. We had sold out of all the smalls really. So,
True
you know,
indeed.
and it has like a little bit of crop fit too. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah, no, it's super solid. Yeah, it fits her well. Honestly, it fits her well. We both appreciative. If you don't see it, what we have on right now is me versus me, the brand, super fire, super dope. The patches, the work, it's so much that go behind it, and we really gonna unpack in so many layers. And I want you guys to really get firsthand experience on the mind, the thoughts, the perspectives of this gentleman right here, which is my brother Raul. Um, yes. So he's feeling well today, blessed, highly favored, in a place to where he's appreciative, places that he want to go, not there yet, but on the journey to getting there, and we're going to do that. And I want to ask you this first question, just throwing it out there, just being optimistic, just my
gotcha.
perspective. How do you feel about skinny jeans?
Skinny jeans. You know what? I ain't got nothing. I mean, I don't. I got nothing. I ain't got nothing against them.
Yeah, Judy.
But I've always been like a wide-legged person, so I couldn't even get up past my knees anyway. You know what I mean? If you could, like, if you're a young boy and you skinny and you can actually fit in them, you know what I'm saying? They don't look crazy. More power to you, but that's just not my style. You know what I mean? Actually, you know
Yo,
what's funny? For Ant's birthday party, when we
yeah,
went
yeah,
out to
yeah.
Salsa con Fuego, I had a pair of white skinny jeans, but that was for my boy Ant. I ain't doing that for everybody.
It's a one and done. So you tried it, you gave it a
Yeah,
shot.
nah, I wore them one time, and they were some white ones at that. So I put them.
Mm,
That's
mm, mm,
it.
mm.
No mas. I'm good on that.
Let me tell you, I had my experience with skinny jeans maybe about one time as well. When I came back around and got back into society, skinny jeans were the thing, right? Everybody was real custom fitted, tight leg, everything. So I'm like, okay, let me just get down with the program, see what's going on out here. Man, I tried to slip in one of those things and went out. It was the worst night that I had because I was so uncomfortable. Now, when I say skinny, I mean there wasn't like you see my calf muscle, but they were very, very tight for me because I'm normally wearing comfortable fitting attire. So that adjustment in itself was something that I was like, wait, I can't really get jiggy with this. So let me just go back to what I normally know how to do and just be comfortable in my own skin and my clothing. So
Nah, I feel you on that.
when it comes to clothing, how important is comfort for you, just in general?
See, this is the thing. It's like weird. It's like because what you see online or what you see people taking pictures, they're not always comfortable. Like even in these fashion shows, they're not really comfortable. They're trying to show off a look, but they're not
Correct.
comfortable. You know what I'm
Mm,
saying? But you want to be comfortable in your clothes
true.
because if you do take pictures or you're out and about, people can see that you're uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Something's not right. You know what I'm saying? Maybe
Yeah.
you ain't walking with the same swag or whatever. You know what I'm saying? So
Absolutely.
it's important, but it's the context of what you're trying to do behind it. Like I've taken pictures in clothes that I probably wouldn't wear out
Mm-hmm.
because it's like over the top.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? But it's definitely important when you're shopping. Obviously, it's important. Like if you shop from the brand, I want you to be comfortable. People say, "What what size should I get? Or what's
Yeah.
the size chart?" You know what I mean? Like because you don't want somebody copping something that they're not gonna rock again. You know what I'm saying? Just because they're uncomfortable. So
True
it
indeed.
definitely plays a big part in it.
Absolutely. As a disclaimer, whether you wear skinny jeans, wide-legged jeans, no jeans, you're going outside, free balling, whatever you do, that's your thing. That is your thing. No, we're not passing judgment. I felt like breaking ice and be able to have some good context and
I
good
wasn't ready
jargon.
for that. I ain't
I
gonna hold you.
figured
I
you
wasn't
wouldn't
ready.
be.
I said he
I
made a
figured
left
you
on that
wouldn't
one.
be. I
You
figured
funny
you
as
wouldn't
hell.
be. Oh man. Fashion. We are both here. We are both in the fashion industry. We have created some dope brands. The look, the aesthetics, the thought process behind it. Really want to delve into it. But before we reach there and get so much in the jargon about the clothing brand, I want to take a few steps back and bring it back to, earlier childhood. I want people to get more familiar with who Raul is, right? So uh, let's bring it back to, early childhood. How was you as a child? Was you an outgoing child? Was you somebody that was more sheltered? Did you feel like what was the environment like for you as a child?
I ain't gonna lie. I was bad as hell. Like
Bad.
I was bad in every sense of the word, yeah. Because you go through stuff as a child, you don't really know what you're doing. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? But to me, I always felt like an outcast as far as where my family was on the spectrum, like my
Mm.
immediate family, like my father and my mom,
Yeah.
because I thought that it wasn't normal. You know what I'm saying? I thought I was the only one that was living with their moms and never spoke to their pops. Like I thought I was the
Yeah.
only one. So
Wow.
I acted out, you know what I'm saying? But as far as like family, like as I got older, I understood more.
Yeah.
So I became closer to the family members that I had. You
True.
understand what I'm saying? But I
Yeah.
was bad as a kid. I ain't gonna lie. I did stuff that, like, I look back at it now and I'm like, dang, like any little thing would have went wrong,
Yeah.
I would have just been messing up my life. And like, you don't realize it when you're younger. It's
Correct.
like your life credit. You know what I mean? Like if you mess up your life credit young,
Mm-hmm.
you're not gonna be able to do some of the things as you get older. You might not be able to get a job if you have something on your record. You know what I'm saying? But we don't
Yeah.
know that. You know what I
True.
mean? Like we don't have that hindsight when we're that young, so we just make mistakes and kind of learn from them. But like I said, I was bad. I was
Yeah.
bad as a kid. And then like going to like places like the boys club and stuff
Yeah.
like that. Like you see, there was just so much. Like even now that I'm older, a lot of people that I was with in the boys club, they see me and they're like, "Yo, what's up?" You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? But we all came from the same humble beginning, so
True indeed.
that was my childhood in a nutshell.
Absolutely. So when it was being outcasted, it was because of behavior. The behavior, was it more or less of seeking attention, or was it just an act of trying to
I don't think it
prove?
was, you know what, Reed? I don't think it was necessarily me acting out behaviorally. I just
Mm-hmm.
felt like like I just wanted to be normal.
Got you.
So like when I lived around people like cousins and stuff that had like a normal life,
Yeah.
I just felt like I just felt weird. And as a kid, you don't understand those emotions. You just think that you're different. You think that you're crazy. Because now moving forward, I'm proud to be different, right? Like
Yeah.
I'm proud to not look like everybody else and not fit society's norms. I'm cool with that. But
Absolutely.
when you're a kid, you want to fit in. It's just
Yeah.
one of those things. Like nobody tells you, hey, listen, you're gonna stand out, and that's cool. You want to be like the person that you see next to you, who again, they go home, they got a nice family, they're able to take trips, they're able to, do different things like
Correct.
normal people. But I feel like that's why I acted out. You know what I'm saying? Again, I'm not condoning any of the behavior that I did when I was younger,
Yeah.
but like sometimes parents ain't around,
Yeah.
you're doing around different things, you hanging around
Yeah.
people that you're trying to be cool, show that you're cool to, you know what I'm saying? So that's
Correct.
really what all that was. But once I understood a lot of like the things that I had went through as a child, like I didn't want to become a statistic and I didn't want to be like a victim, like a
Mm-hmm.
victim of my circumstance, a victim of, because again, there's people that got it worse than me,
For
that
sure.
got it out the mud,
Yep.
that are more successful than me, and they didn't let that stop them. So I can't let it stop me either. You know what I
Not
mean?
at all.
You can't use the things that have happened to you in life as excuses. You got to use them as badges of honor. As I went through this, but that particular thing don't define me. Like some people have went through really crazy things in life, and I'm not saying
Correct.
that nobody cares.
True.
What I'm saying is let that build you up into the person that you want to be. You know what I mean? It doesn't make you who you are because you went through something crazy when you were younger. You know what I mean? That's the way I
Absolutely.
look at it.
Oh, that's powerful. I love something that you said about that because you said that you didn't take the pity party for self. You said that you know what, although my circumstances are what they are, although that some misfortunes, I had some behavior issues for whatever reasons. Um, I didn't let that allow me to define who I am as a person and my character. So I was going to ask you, how did you feel about oneself? And you kind of defined it right there about you didn't let your circumstances define who you're going to be in the near future. So did you have a self of awareness when you were younger, like regardless of what's going on, I'm still going to be great. I'm still going to be somebody worthy, somebody of value. Did you find that even younger, even though you felt different and things were different and you questioned some of the things that were kind of confusing at those moments, saying, hey, over here, this looks normal. Everybody's doing this. My situation ain't that. Although it is not what it is presumed to be, but I'm still going to live life. Was that kind of the attitude even younger? Did you identify even though the
I
situation may be
had, you know
challenged?
what? Like one thing I could say is I've always thought outside the box, even as a kid. Like
Mm,
for instance, when I was younger, right, and my mom was in a relationship or whatever, and I would
correct.
see the things that like she would do in a household,
Yeah.
and then I would see the things that the person she was with did in a household. I said to
Correct.
myself, you know what? Like when I get a girl, I'm gonna do more than what I see him doing. You understand what I'm
Mm,
saying? Or I don't want to be a statistic. Yeah, like my mom was a single mom, but I
yeah.
don't want to be known as that. Because at the end of the day, like if you find yourself like having pity on yourself, all you're gonna do is make excuses when things get tough. Like
True.
life gets tough out there. Like life gets
True.
real. And the more you sit there and you make excuses for it, or the more you become a victim of it, you're never gonna grow. Like you're gonna stay that same person. So
Yeah.
you could have the biggest heart in the world. You might have had something happen to you when you were younger, and because you consistently hold on to that like negative feeling, and feeling like I feel bad for myself, or the world doesn't like me, or whatever the case is, like you got to kind of grow out of that and understand that life is so long and
Yeah.
you're a kid for like half a minute. Like you
Yeah.
don't realize you're not a kid for that long. And once you
Not at
start
all.
realizing that some of the stuff as a kid, when you worried about as a kid, doesn't matter as a grown adult, that it shifts the dynamic in the way that your brain processes things. Like I said, I always knew I was different just because of the way I thought about stuff. Like, I didn't want to be a statistic. I didn't just because the things that have happened to me doesn't like reflect who I am.
Correct.
And like I said, I went through my spurt where I was just bad. I was acting out. It could have been I didn't have a father in the house. It could have been a lot of things.
Yeah, for
I'm
sure.
not here to I'm not here to like find the reason why I was acting crazy.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
just know
yeah.
I was acting crazy. But
Absolutely.
like something that I'm trying to work on now is accountability even now.
Yeah.
Like being able to look in the mirror and say, "Yo, like you messed that up.
Correct.
You got to fix that." We as men and we as humans, but more as men, we got ego, we got pride, and it's hard for us to look in the mirror and just be like, "Yo, I messed that up," or "I could do better," or "I got to learn from that." You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
because we're
Absolutely.
men and we don't like to admit that we're wrong, but we are wrong a lot. And the more
Hmm.
you're able to tell yourself you're wrong and kind of self-correct it, the world don't have to self-correct you.
True.
Because if I don't say, "Yo,
Ooh.
I'm getting out of pocket, out of character," but you go out in the world and you run across somebody who don't take none of that, no type of disrespect at all, it's gonna come at you in a different kind of way. You know what I mean? So again, like you should be able to do that on your own. So when you step into the real world, nobody has to do that for you.
Hmm.
Because you know what I mean? It's a lot easier that way, I feel.
I agree with you 110%. One thing I would like to interject for somebody that don't have a voice or feel like they can't find their voice within in those circumstances. So for me, right, one of those personnels I explained last time on my other podcast that I used to be Mr. Agreeable, just agreed with everybody, right? Because I felt that was the easier way to cope and get by. And then once I started to figure out that I really didn't feel the way that I projected myself or agreed with or disagreed with things, I'm like, there's something that's missing. So when I said that, when we say go out there and fix that, the steps I feel that are important is identifying the thing first. What is it that we want to fix? And then being able to get around people, places, things, environments that be able to help support that. So a lot of times I know when I was just out there doing whatever I was doing, I always had people in my ear telling me some of these things. But it was a realization for self, like you said, that I realized that there's some things that I can and cannot control. And I'm not going to be a victim. I don't want to have a victimhood mindset throughout the rest of my life. So I'm going to take that responsibility as men, as women. We're going to say, okay, I identify where the problem starts at. And I have the power to change my circumstances. And I know that when it comes with children or people just not able to find their voice, what I would love to do is just figure out ways that we can come together and help people do that, because I know that our towns, our communities, our environment, our society, we need a little bit more healing. And I find that some of the things that we are attached to draws comfort. It draws freedom of expression. It draws some of the things that we wasn't able to express or do at various times in our lives. And I know that there were times where my hands were tied behind my back. And in those moments, I didn't have the freedom of doing what I wanted to do at will. And I learned something being in isolation. I learned something about me. I got real comfortable with me. And before, I'm like, nobody here know me. I got the opportunity to be who I feel I am in my own mind, and I was able to act that out. And then I got more familiar with that Johnny. It's like I was two different people, from what people perceive me to be, right? From what people know me of. And then there was another voice, another Johnny that was inside, that I felt I was strongly connected to, which is the true and self me with inside. I'm like, do I have two variations of oneself? Do I have the inner me and then the outside that people attach themselves to from what I've done, who my family is, what I attach myself to as far as the things I've done, the money, the finances. I feel that everybody get labeled and tagged on them, right? I feel like people just put, certain things on everybody because everybody got their own perspective. And I felt like when I started to detach from some of those things, it started to rebuild a new identity for oneself. So when I start thinking about children, because I think about children all the time, because I feel that they are the leaders of the future. We have babies, children. We want to be able to build up the newer generation with the mindset of that everything is possible. We don't want them to get hurt. We want them to have the mental capacity to go out there and live their lives the way they want to live them, but give them some of the game that we have experienced so we can protect them. But we know sometimes our real protection is actually letting them go out there and experience, because a lot of times some of the sheltering could be overwhelming as well, to where they don't get a real wind of what's going on in the real world. So when it
Right.
comes to like finding that voice, right? Something that just helped me was, you know, being by myself and being comfortable with me first. And then once I started to be around other people, it was easier to find my own place within other people. Because before it was just little Johnny. That's how I used to get associated from my pops. My pops was who he is, and all of the elder people would say, that's little Johnny, little Johnny, little Johnny, little Johnny, little Johnny, instead of Reed. No, that's Reed. That's
Like being your
JD.
own individual, like, you know what I'm saying? I'm
Yeah.
his son, but I'm also
I'm also me.
Reed, the person, you know what I
For
mean? The
sure.
entity, like, yeah.
Yep. And I felt so strongly attached to that. And I find that like we all do it. We all have labels on us from family, friends, school, environment, all these things. So you're from Long Island, you're from the town, you're from here, you're from Brooklyn, you're from X, Y, and Z. Everybody has this stigma or this idea about how you supposed to be, look, act, sound. And I'm like, once we start breaking away from some of those things of the stereotypes that other people say we should be, and we start finding who we are at heart and listening to that inner self, we start to be more free and we break away some of them chains. When I look at your brand, that's what it represents to me. It like all of those things that I felt I broke away from when it came to me versus me, I'm like, this right here is special. This brand, this name, is very, very special. I just wanted to get that out. I know I was just long
Yeah,
winded,
nah,
but
I
I
agree
wanted
with
to.
you. And to piggyback off of that, I would say personally, like to find your voice, you got to first understand that you have to be unique to yourself, right?
Mm,
Like you can't worry about what other people think are cool or what, you know what I'm saying? Like
truly,
society's norms. Like you got to understand, like, and it's hard as a kid because again, as a kid, you want to be part of, you want to
yeah,
be, with a group of people, and you know what I mean? Like it's hard
truly,
to like build yourself individually, like this is what I want to do, but you got to understand something, like the key is to be individual. Like if we walked into a room, me and you, right?
yep,
And everybody was wearing the same clothes because it was fly, like they the same top, the same bottom, the same sneakers. We look at each other like, yo, that's not even cool. You know what I'm saying?
yep,
So it's the same way you got to think of the concept of you being an individual and actually like having a voice for yourself. It's okay not to agree with everybody else. It don't mean
yeah,
you got to argue with people.
correct,
Like I always tell myself, I always have opinions.
yeah,
I don't need to argue with people on them. Like this
nope,
is America. Like we
yeah,
are allowed to have opinions.
true
We
indeed,
might not always agree on it, but that's just an opinion. You understand
yeah,
what I'm saying? And my whole thing is do what makes you happy, right?
mm,
Because the closer you get to trying to impress other people, the farther away you get from happiness yourself. You can't
mm,
make everybody happy, bro. There's a million people in the world. If a
so
million
true,
people are pulling you a different direction, how are you gonna be happy? You're the one that's gotta lay your head at night and be comfortable with the decisions that you're making. You understand what
absolutely,
I'm saying? So to find your voice, you just have to be okay with being different.
absolutely,
I don't look like that person. Not that
nope,
I can't be friends with that person, but I have my ideas. I have my goals. Like, you know what I mean? That's just the way I see it. I feel like the world that we live in, and right now at the moment in time in that we live in, like is the best time in the world, like to be alive.
yeah,
You could do whatever it is that you want. You want to get a
true,
certification. You want to learn a trade. You want to learn how to fix cars. You want to learn how to start a clothing brand. You want all that stuff is at our fingertips. The difference is how much work are you willing to put in to get it?
yeah,
And a lot of the things too, they're based off of reverse engineering.
talk about
I
that,
want this is what I want here, and I got to see how I got there. You understand what I'm saying? I
working
read a lot
backwards,
of books on CEOs, yeah, on people that started businesses. You
correct,
got to start with the end in mind, and then reverse everything backwards. I want to do a $10,000 clothing brand drop. Okay, cool. How many different pieces you're gonna have? You're gonna have four pieces. Okay, what are they gonna be priced at? They're gonna be priced at $100 a piece. So you have $400 worth of things that you can get rid of. How
mm-hmm,
many do you got to sell in a day to hit that 10,000 in a month? It's
absolutely,
really basic math once you
math,
understand it. Now,
yep,
to actually do those things, you got to put in a little bit more work, but it starts
true.
with reverse engineering it for real.
And that's a concept that you can take throughout life, right? Even if it's
With
not business.
everything.
Absolutely, because I see that too. I see that if we use that concept within life, saying where do I want to be at in my life, and then actually saying, okay, this is where I see myself. I see myself, big house, white picket fence, dog, cat, car, etc., family, whatever. Now you got to tell yourself, well, in order to have a child, got to procreate. So that means that you got to find a companion. That's the start. Okay, in order to have sufficient enough funds, in order to afford a house, need a job or bring in some level of income, entrepreneurship. business, whatever you need to do in order to bring that in. So that's a beautiful, beautiful concept. I what I want to expound on is when we talked about let me bring it back. When I had a brain fart. Regardless, when you said, oh yeah, here it is. When you talked about finding that voice, something stuck out like a sore thumb. Because I know you personally, and when you found one of the areas to where you was able to find your voice, that we all know is you used to rap, right?
Yeah,
And
used to.
yeah, used to. And one of the things that I like about rapping, because I was an artist as well, and I don't really shy away from, just because I'm not actively doing it, I don't turn away from the creativity aspect of it, because I feel like everything I do is art in the form of creation. So everything that I come in contact with, it's always me trying to bring some level of thought into reality. And when you said about finding your voice, I know you for doing one of those things as rapping. When you did rap, right? What was it? Even though we jump back into the clothing, because there's so many things I would love to expound about on that. But when it talked about the rapping aspect, and of course sometimes when you're younger, you say, okay, I'm just rapping, spit these bars, etc. Was that a form of creativity? Was a form of expression? How did you see rapping in general at that time?
I would get lost in the music, to be honest with you. Like music for me it was therapy. It was like a timeline to my life. Even
Mm,
now, like when you hear certain songs, it puts you in certain points in your life where you're like, damn, I remember walking over here, or when I was, we were skipping school or doing this or whatever. Like that's what music does for me. And it was just a way for me to vent and to release. Like it was just another form of being a creative. Like when
mm,
you make music or you draw or you make clothes, like it's a creative thing. It's getting your thoughts. You have so many thoughts in your head, you're trying to get them out. So like me, I used to have a harder time writing stuff down. Like if you gave me
mm.
a beat, I could freestyle for the whole 10 minutes, no
Correct.
problem. But because it was just off the top, it was
Yeah,
it was
yeah,
easy
yeah.
for me. But when I had to actually write down to a beat, and like that was harder for me, because
Absolutely.
it's almost like I was putting constraints on myself, like to figure out the bar format, or is it the bridge that comes, or when do I start counting the bar? You know what I mean?
Correct,
Like
correct,
so, it
correct,
was a
correct,
little
correct.
bit different. But when we were just freestyling, like the mic in the living room type thing,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
that it was just we could just flow forever. And then obviously when you were around the group of people, like if it was me, you, Chris, whoever, we was in a cipher, we kind of like we see somebody rapping, he freestyling, oh snap, it starts getting your juices going, like you start now, you know what I mean? Now that's where the cipher comes in, and the
Absolutely.
energy and the vibes come in, and that's where you get that whole thing. But yeah, it's just a creative. I've always been a creative at heart, and I think that's something that even I don't make music like that or rap anymore.
Yeah.
I still think it comes into play when it comes to the thought process of the clothes and how I
Mm.
make them
True
and what
deep.
I think. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
And like one of the craziest things that somebody ever taught me is another clothing brand when I became cool with him. And he's like, you know what you should start doing? He said you should take color pencils and crayons and you make your designs like that. And I was like,
Mm.
what are you talking about? He said, yeah. He's like, think about it like this: when you give a kid crayons, pencils, and color pencils and stuff like that, they could paint the sky black or they could paint the sky
Straight up.
purple. Is your imagination is just like is infinite, right? So it's the
Absolutely.
same thing with clothes. Like just start drawing.
Yeah.
What's cool to you? What do you want to make? What colors do
Absolutely.
you want it to be? And it unlocks your mind from having the same constraints that I used to have when I used to have to write songs down.
Correct.
You know what I mean? So now it's like that's how I made my sweatpant on top of sweatpant thing. I never really thought about it like that. I just started doodling, and then I'm like, damn, what if I did that? Oh
Mm.
snap. And then what happens is I draw it out physically and I send it to a designer to actually make it, like bring it to life as far as a graphic is concerned, and something that I could send to my manufacturer and a tech pack and describe to them what I want to do, where I want to do it. That's why like I did a pair of sweatpants that were half thermal and half sweatpant.
True indeed. That's
People were like, yo,
fire.
how the heck how'd you come up with that?
That
And
was
I'm
super
like,
dope.
just drawing.
Yep.
Just, you know what I mean? Because your brain is free at that point. And it
Absolutely.
goes back to being a child and the things that we do for the children.
True
We
indeed.
give them the crayons and and you see Mickey Mouse, they paint Mickey Mouse instead of the regular colors, they might paint Mickey Mouse yellow and red. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? It just their mind and It's like to let someone's mind just travel and then come back and see what they came back with. Oh snap,
Indeed.
that's dope. That's not regular. That's not normal, but that's fire. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. So you think having that inner kid, even as an adult, would be a beautiful asset to one's creativeness, to
I
their
think you have to
happiness?
tap into that every once in a while,
Yeah,
for sure. For
I
sure.
believe
You know
that.
what I mean? Like we
Yeah.
all have, and some of it might come too from not having the childhood that you wanted. So you might
Mm,
not like when I started playing basketball, I remember playing basketball in the boys and girls clubs, and I was never really that good. Like I could
hmm.
shoot, but I couldn't
Yeah.
do what Swag was doing. I couldn't
Yeah.
do what Vog was doing. I couldn't do
Yep.
none of that. I wasn't born with like
Athletic like that.
athleticism. Like I just wasn't. I'm like, but I could shoot. All right, cool. So as I got older, I started going to an LA Fitness out in Farmingdale when I lived out in Plainview.
Correct.
And I started going to the basketball courts like early, putting
Yeah.
in work. I told myself, I know it sounds stupid. I want to become unguardable. And I want to, bro, I be in there on a Saturday, bro. Everybody else is sleeping. I'm in there from 8 to like 1, 8 to 2, just balling. I'd get
hmm.
home, bro, and I'd be limping just to get into the crib. I couldn't even walk. Like
Wow.
my legs would hurt, my hamstring, everything would hurt. But then when I got to playing in the games, my confidence soared. And the one thing, like people used to laugh at me because I'd get on the court and a lot of people thought I was white. And then other people were just like, this dude's got all these clothes on, but he ain't
White
really
chocolate.
balling.
Fuck with
Yeah,
it.
he ain't really balling like that. And I'm like, I said, I always told myself, if I could get the shot off, it's going in. I don't give a shit who's guarding
Straight
me.
up. Absolutely.
My confidence just became so undeniable that like I just knew I was gonna score. Just give me a second
Mm.
to get the shot off, and I'm gonna make it. I don't care. You
Yep.
know what I mean? But back when I was younger, I was timid because I seen all the athletes around me, and I'm like, bro, I can't handle the ball like Ivan, right? I can't
Yeah.
handle. You know what I mean? I can't jump like Swag. I don't got the jump shot like Swag
Yeah.
shooting from back here, bro. Ain't nobody blocking his shot. Even
True
when we
deal.
was younger, it was like that. You know
Yep.
what I'm saying? Vog could jump out the gym. I couldn't do that. You know
Absolutely.
what I'm saying? But I started studying like, how do I get a quicker release? Like, how do I set my feet faster before the ball even comes into my shooting pocket? Like, I broke it down to a science, but I did all that to say that it's because I wasn't able to make a basketball team when I was younger.
Yeah.
I wasn't able to do those things when I was a kid.
Correct.
So now as I got older, I was like, I know what it takes to get better and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And that's where the inner child still comes. Like, and I love the
Mm.
competition. Because again, people sleep on you. You turn around, you in the game, you start making buckets. Like I remember getting in my first game, and the guy's like, "I'm not. You shooting?"
Water.
By the third
Water.
time, they was like, "Yo, you gonna guard him?" He was already now. Now my confidence was at an all time high, and
Absolutely.
he was trying to catch up to what he was talking. You understand
Correct.
what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I just kept playing. You know what I'm
You.
saying? So like I tell people all the time, it's cool. Like I don't mind being an outcast. I don't
Yeah.
mind being different. As I got older, I've kind of leaned into that more.
Yeah.
But when I was younger, again, everybody just wants you as a kid, you want to feel like you belong.
Mm-hmm.
So it's hard to decipher that as a kid. You don't know any better.
Yeah. I think
So
building up that confidence, letting people know that their unique skill sets are different from other people, letting people know that hey, there's leverage in what you do. There's leverage to being a short person. I've been short my whole life. I'm not 6 feet tall, so I had to find ways in order to put myself in a position to win. And one thing I learned, I give the story about me and Charles McCullough when I was playing football. So being on the team in general, what got me to the next level in general, just being able to play, was my heart. So I felt, you know what? If I can't beat people, if I'm not faster, if I'm not stronger, if I'm not the tallest, if I'm not X, Y, and Z, I said what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna go out there and I'm gonna just give 110% and have the biggest heart. And I learned that about myself early on. That hey, if you develop the willingness, develop the heart, develop the confidence, there's nothing that's off limits, and I got to figure out my leverage. What you was telling me about your story, you detailed something very, very specific. You said, you know what? Although I don't have the jump shot like swag, I kept shooting. Although I didn't have the handle like I kept dribbling. I found that okay, I'm different from them in general because I'm a lefty. So I go to my left side, and that's a different thing. Oh, they
it's
had the
true.
perception about me being white, even though I'm Hispanic. Regardless, I got something for that. And what you did was you started to figure out, okay, where's my leverage? You started to develop skills and confidence within oneself that separated you from the pack. And that's one of the things that we get away from because we feel like we in a society where it's cookie cutter. Everybody has to do what everybody else does. We have to be the same exact person. And people don't understand that you, who you are, from where you've been, your experiences give you leverage. And you have a unique set of skill sets that someone else down the street, down the block don't have. And I feel that if we start tapping into more of that, like you said about you leaning in more to that in this day and age, in this time, start figuring out, no, being different is really a attribute. Now you start seeing that there are other doors that are opening up for you. And even though you may felt like they were closed off, they always been there. The thing is that you had to figure that out within oneself, like we all do. I had to figure it out. No, Johnny have a bigger heart. So now when you care enough, now it don't, you have a heart in two different ways. You care about people enough. That's a big heart. No, but you also got the confidence to go out there willing to try and fail and to get to those next levels, or willing to challenge a person like Charles McCullough on the field. Heart. So I know, okay, for me, finding heart, keeping heart. Make sure that when I do things, I also understand that let my heart be the guider, you know what I mean, of me navigating through this world, because some people don't have that skill set in order to care like I care. I was talking to Mun when Mun said, yo, he had such a bigger heart, he stand in front of a gun. And the person that had the gun sat back and hugged him. Like, so that shows you that, okay, that courage alone, how many people are willing to stand in front of a gun?
There's
He said,
power in that. There's
power.
power in that. Not everybody's willing to do that. You know what I'm saying? But
Absolutely.
like in those moments, like the person that didn't shoot was probably somebody that was just going through it at the time.
Yeah.
And Mun was like, it was just like he was giving off such a like a loving energy, and was just
Yep.
like, yo, bro, like you gonna have to do that. You gonna do that. Guy
Mm-hmm.
was like, damn, like, you know what I'm saying? If somebody's
Power.
willing to take the bullet like that, that's powerful. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's powerful for real.
I wanna highlight something really quick. Hold your wrist up again. People may not know. Since we were younger, you always wore wristbands. You always had rubber bands, wristbands around your wrist. For the people that don't know, and myself included, why do you wear so many wristbands? What's behind it?
Um, well, a lot of the wristbands that I wear are they always mean something. They always say something. It's almost
Mm.
like my daily reminder. You know what I mean? Because we get so caught up on life or whatever. Like one says nothing is impossible,
Mm.
and then the other one says what doesn't kill you make you stronger.
Ah.
It just every once in a while you need a reminder, right? Like I might not be able to call somebody, or I might not be able to like get somebody, like one of my boys, to text me back, and I just
TD.
look down and I remember like, all right, like just don't forget these core elements. You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? Like, so it was always something like that. You know what I
Mm.
mean? But like I said, it's just a reminder on a daily basis to keep doing what I'm doing. Because we
Absolutely.
all, we all second guess ourselves. We all
For
have
sure.
that where we like, should I be
Yep.
doing this? Maybe I should be doing this.
Yeah.
So that, and for whatever reason, I never like my wrist to be bare. Like, never, like
Ah.
this looks weird to me.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, usually the watch is on here, so I have something on both. But
Correct. Correct.
somebody else said that to me the other day. They're like, "Yo, you still rocking them wristbands like all these years later?" I'm like, "It's just part of who I am."
Part of who you are. I like that. That's dope. That's fire. Just a little fun fact. I want to talk about the clothing brand. Let's get to it. Right. We
Let's talk
have
about
the
it.
brand Me versus Me.
Hmm.
Now, ideally, what I thought of it, I know I'm not far off from it, but I want you to tell the story of how this brand came to be, Me versus Me, and what that means to you overall.
So my original, I had a clothing brand originally, and it was called Dreamer Clothing.
Dreamer.
So like what I did was I took, it was Dreamr. Like I took out the E at the end.
Yeah.
And the reason that I named it that was because I always had big dreams. Like, and I'm talking
Mm-hmm.
about like I could make 20,000 in a month. I could make 30,000 in a month, like
For
even
sure.
before this Colin brand stuff, right?
Correct.
But like so my thought process while I thought about that and then going to work a 9 to 5 alongside somebody else, like
Yeah.
you tell an old man that you're working with, yo, man, I'm trying to make 50 bands this month. Looking at me like,
Man, yo, go ahead.
boy, you with your dreaming ass. You better go ahead with that. So that's what I called it. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? I called it Dream of Clothing in the beginning. And I did, yo, bro, when I tell you I made every mistake possible and I would do it all over again. If
Tell
I
me
had to
something.
make those same mistakes, I
Tell
would
me
I
some of
would
those
make them
mistakes.
all over again. So when I started with using Pakistan manufacturing.
Explain that. What
Like
does that mean?
Pakistan manufacturing, like it's not that they're bad, but they don't know the concept of size charts. They don't follow directions. You could
Mm.
easily get scammed. In total, I probably spent about $3,500 in Pakistan between
Wow.
samples, or pre-made designs, like designs you see on Instagram
Correct. Correct.
that
Correct.
just people you buy it and then they change the name to fit, your brand or whatever.
Yeah.
I did that, and I didn't really do like my homework on. So fashion is not only subjective, but it's also like it's very based off of like trends.
Yeah.
So like when I got in, I'm like, I'm just gonna make something that says Dreamer Clothing, and it's gonna be cool because I think it's gonna be cool.
Correct.
Not realizing I didn't do my homework on what was trending, what kind of fabric I needed to be using, what kind of print I needed to be using. I'm talking
Absolutely.
about I learned everything from scratch. And
Mm.
you only learn by making mistakes. Listen, bro, I could tell you everything that I did, but until you go try it yourself, you ain't gonna know what the heck is what. You know what
Nope.
I'm saying?
Absolutely.
So I went to Pakistan. I got all these samples made. I bought pre-made designs. I was gonna do like a pre-order,
Yeah.
right? So I'm promoting it. People were like, "Yo, it's dope." Pop, pop, pop. I go to release it, and it was my first time ever releasing something like that. So I didn't have the website. Like I knew how to build websites, but
Yeah.
I didn't know how to build clothing websites. The sizing,
Mm.
the color, I didn't know any of that.
Absolutely.
So when people got onto my website originally, they couldn't even like you couldn't pick a large because I didn't have the variants on there.
Mm. Yep.
So I ended up making no money. Like I
Wow.
dropped on a Saturday. I think it was like November 3rd or something like that. I'm shady on the date, but
Yeah. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
know that I dropped and I made no sales. And I looked, I was like, bro, I did all that and I didn't make no money. And I was like, but to prequel that,
Yeah.
I remember starting this thing that I had never done before. I knew how to dress, I could
Yep.
match, I could do all that stuff. I've been doing that.
Yep.
But creating something like that somebody else wants to wear, I told myself, listen, you're going to fail.
Mm.
Just know that.
Yeah.
Continue to push forward no matter what it is because
Yep.
you don't know something. It's like getting on a motorcycle for the first time, never riding a bike and expecting to be able to wheelie it or expecting to shift gears properly. It's not going to happen.
True.
You know what I mean? So I told myself ahead of time, I'm going to fail. Just fail forward and fail fast.
I like
The
that.
faster I fail, the more I learn.
I like that. Fail forward. I like that.
But at the end of the day, you could tell yourself that till you're blue in the face. Emotionally, like you still have those emotions where
Yeah.
you make something and then it completely falls, it breaks through, and you're like,
Yeah. It stings
"Damn,
a
bro!
bit.
Like I
It
thought
stings.
I thought I was gonna lease one sale. I ain't get
Yeah.
nothing. I was like,
Nothing.
sheesh." And that was on a Saturday, and I took from Saturday, the rest of Saturday, I was just down. I was like, "Damn, bro! Like you really failed. Like what are you doing?"
How
Like
many
I'm
pieces
talking to
did you order?
myself. Huh?
How many pieces did you order in that
I didn't
moment?
order anything because it was a pre-order.
Okay. I got you. Got you.
So
Got
I
you.
was waiting for the sales to come in to then order the stuff from where I had to order
Absolutely.
it from.
Absolutely.
But it's like I was sitting there talking to myself. I'm like, bro, like, what are you gonna do? Like, you failed. Like, this is it. Like, all that work for nothing.
Mm.
And then I was like, I turned to my other self and I said, Raul, man, start another brand.
Mm.
And like that's where the me versus me came from. Because as I'm trying to figure out the next step into this brand space, like what I'm gonna do, I'm having these conversations with myself. So I
Correct.
got the little angel on my shoulder that's telling me, go ahead and start the new brand.
Correct.
You could do it. And then I got the little devil on my shoulder that's telling me, bro, didn't you just fall flat on your face?
Yeah.
Why
Yeah.
are you
Yeah.
gonna keep trying something that ain't gonna work? Like
Yep.
you just blew all that money for nothing.
Yep.
So that's where the name me versus me came from. And what I did at the end of failing is I took a piece of paper and I was real with myself. I said, you made some mistakes.
Correct.
So write them down. And I think it was like I made a list of 15 mistakes.
Wow.
And
You
I
still have
said,
that
okay,
list?
take those. Huh?
You still have that list?
Um, I probably could find it because I have like stacks of notebooks now. Like I write everything down. Everything's written down.
Got you.
So I took those 15 things and I made sure that I didn't do them moving into this next part of the brand.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I
I, I'm gonna cut you. I'm gonna stop you.
yeah.
Only reason being because this is very, very important during this process, and I think that when you explaining what's going on, it may go over some people's heads, myself included. So sometimes when we say certain things, I need to slow down for me. Um, when you said that, I actually took this piece of paper out, and I went over all of the things of where I failed at. It brings me to times and places in my life when I come up against things and I fail. And a lot of times, like you said, the bummer, the stinger, the emotional distraught, you feel like, oh man, I don't
We're
know if I want
humans,
to
bro. It
continue.
happens. You could be the strongest dude in America and something happened and it just completely like changes your mindset and you're like, damn, like you start second guessing yourself.
Correct.
You know what I'm saying?
Correct. So you said let's go back to the drawing board. Let's find where I made some mistakes at. So I want you to continue from there. You picked up the piece of
But
paper,
what I want
start
people
writing
to
down.
realize too is if you're gonna do something, just make a promise to yourself to see it through before
Mm,
you start it. You
absolutely.
understand what I'm saying? Because there's gonna come those points where it's mundane. It's like the gym, right?
Yeah,
Everybody wants a body, not
for sure.
everybody wants to go to the gym. People start
Absolutely.
off on January 1st, they go for the first month, and then it gets harder. It'd be those days they always say the days that you don't want to go,
These
but you
days you
make it
go.
to the gym, those are the W's right there. Not
Absolutely.
when you got all the energy in the world, you got 8 hours of sleep, you know what I'm saying? You
Facts.
feeling good
Facts.
about life. Now, yeah, let's go to the gym. That's easy. It's
Yep.
the hard parts, the hard days that you gotta, to pick yourself up and
Absolutely.
be like, yo. So what I would say to anybody that's starting anything
Yeah.
is, if you're gonna do something and say to yourself, I'm gonna take this route or I'm gonna travel this road, just make sure that you make a promise to yourself to just don't quit.
Yep.
Even if you get 1% better every day,
Yeah.
even if you have a little bit of, a little bit of motion, just keep doing that. You know what I'm
Absolutely.
saying? So that's what I did to myself in the beginning. I said, you're gonna fail, just see it through.
Mm-hmm.
And I failed on a Saturday. I came up with the name the very next day. And the girl I was with at the time, I told her, I'm like, yo, I'm starting a whole new brand. And
Absolutely.
she's like, oh, but you wasted all that money on that. And I said, I didn't say I was quitting. I said, I'm pivoting. I got to put
Mm.
my pivot foot down and I got to see what else is going, because
Yes.
this
Yes.
ain't it. You know what I mean? And the
Yes.
more I put money into this and whatever, it's just not going to work out.
Yep.
So let me pivot. And what I did, my whole process on everything changed based off those 15 mistakes that I made. Don't
Mm.
and one of the things was making something that I thought was cool.
Explain that.
So if you're gonna so at the end of the day, you're in the clothing brand business to sell clothes.
Correct.
If you don't sell clothes, you ain't gonna make no money. You're not gonna have no business.
True indeed.
So what I was doing was I was making stuff that I thought was cool.
For you.
Oh, snap. Get basketball shorts. Let me make some basketball shorts.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, this type of hoodie with puff print. All right, let me do that. It looks
Correct.
dope to me. And the
Right.
things why it's dope to me is because it was the name that I thought of on a piece of clothing that I created,
Mm.
which in
You
the
feel
real world
connected
means
to it.
nothing.
Yeah.
It means nothing in the real world. I'm just happy, like, oh, I got Dreamer clothing on a hoodie. That's dope. Because
Yeah.
it was a thought in my head, and now I see it in real life.
Mm-hmm.
But what I told myself was, if I'm gonna make clothes only that I like, I shouldn't start a clothing brand. I should just go shopping for the clothes that I like.
Mm.
So
I
if
like
you're
that.
gonna, you got to find a happy medium. You got to find clothes that you like, but that will sell.
Yeah.
Because then think about it. Then at the end of the day, if all you're doing is putting out stuff that you like and nobody else likes it, you're gonna have a room full of clothes that you spent all that money on for nothing.
Let me ask you a question. When it
Hmm.
comes to innovation, right? And you say I want to go out there and create something that nobody else has ever created. How do you find that fine line of saying, let me get out this creativeness, let me go chase the bag? Do you feel in between, or do you do a combination of both? Because there's some people out there that starting their businesses, right? And and they say, okay, the popular product out there is Coke, Pepsi, etc. Let me make something just like Coke, a carbon copy. And what I learned through time is that you're not going to be able to replace what's already created, right? So now it's finding what can separate you a little bit different, although you're still using the same size and still, okay, oversizes in versus skinny, etc. We're using some of the things of what the people are into. But how do you distinguish what the people may be into, giving them something, maybe giving them a little bit of what they looking for versus what you want to give them? Do you find a happy medium or
So
balance?
yeah, so how it worked for me was this, and it's almost like it's sort of Virgil's 3% rule, but not really.
Explain that.
So okay, for instance, if we're gonna talk about sodas,
Yeah,
right? Pepsi, Coke, whatever. What I would do if I was gonna come out with a soda brand
yeah.
is I would take the top five brands that I like,
Mm,
write down why I like them,
correct.
and take that little pieces from them. Yo, I like Pepsi. Why I like Pepsi? The Pepsi blue can. Okay,
Mm,
is it the color Pepsi blue? Cool. I'm gonna somehow incorporate Pepsi blue into the design of the can. You know what
I
I'm
like
saying?
that. I like that.
Coca-Cola, I like their commercials. So yo, when I shoot commercials, I'm gonna take little bits and pieces from their commercials. So then what happens is when you build a brand, now you got like sort of like a Frankenstein thing that you took from different pieces. And what happens is people, they're more apt to buy from that because they know what the Pepsi blue can looks like. It's almost like a nostalgic color to them. They know
Familiar.
what the commercials look like. It's almost nostalgic to them. So it
Yes.
doesn't feel like it's so far new
Yeah.
that they've never seen it before, but just they see the innovation because there's different parts. So with my brand, what I did was I looked at three brands that I know were selling.
Correct.
I knew the owners, I knew they were making money, and I said, okay, this dude has a pleat embroidery. All right, this dude has a wash on it. Okay. So now where my main focus is, and it sounds crazy, is not just the design, but the messaging behind the brand itself.
Key. I like that.
I could throw me versus me on the side of a trash can,
Yep.
and it's gonna it in my mind. I'm people say, yo, why you got me versus me on the side of a trash can? I said, because you feel like trash sometimes when you think about yourself and blah 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 blah. But the
Story.
message behind
Message.
the brand is what's more important.
True indeed.
You know what I mean? And then again, it comes to knowing, like, if you want to start a business, like, you want to open up a storefront, there's going to be certain things you have to do. Like you might have to pay a certain insurance. You might have to, pay for this workman's comp, whatever. You might not want to do that, but in order to do business, you have to do that. So with clothing, it's kind of the same thing. Like I want to make stuff that, that nobody's ever seen before, but not so much where nobody buys it. It's like what Jay-Z told Fab, you could spit your behind off, but sometimes you got to dumb it down for them because they don't realize how, you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
You listen to songs now from 10 years ago and you catching new things on now. You're like, oh, snap. I didn't even know he said that. Or that bar just, you know what I'm saying? It went over my head years ago. Now I'm listening to it. So sometimes you got to dumb it down. But that's how I created my first design. I looked at 3 different brands and I saw different concepts. Not necessarily I copied the way they wrote the word. I copied the kind of fabric they were using. Oh, you got a custom zipper puller? I want that. Cool. Absolutely. You know what? I want to do something different with the neck label. When you put that on, I want you to remember that the biggest competition you're ever going to have is yourself. If you look at your neck label right now, it says it on there specifically for that. Like on the back neck. Look, J-Ree, on the back, when you take it off, the neck label is bigger than normal. It looks like a business card back there.
Absolutely.
But I want people to remember every time they
put middle. I don't know exactly what it says. We got the size in that. It says the M.
Yeah,
absolutely.
But if you read it, it says the biggest competition you have. The biggest competition you have is the mirror. Because I want people when they put it on to remember that. Like, yo, when you go out here and you bust these moves or whatever, just remember you're the only one in your own way. You get out your own way, you're gonna be fine.
Absolutely.
So that's where the concept came from, and like the timeline on that, it took me because I went China with the manufacturing. Everything is cut and sew, custom. Size chart, everything. I had the red that you have now,
correct,
and the gray one were my original colors. Just those 2. I started with those 2. I had a sample made. Now, when it comes to making samples are expensive. They're one-on-one pieces. Arm and a leg
for the samples.
They charge an arm and a leg. So 2 hoodies cost me $550 to make.
Yeah, they get crazy with the samples.
And that was without the custom zipper puller. That was just a regular zipper puller.
Wow.
Because they want you to get the bulk order, and once you get the bulk order, that's where they start. Yep. All right, we'll put this in the bulk order. It took about a month for that to get done. I get it in the crib. The patches were a little messed up. So I said, I got to fix the patches on it, but everything else is fine.
Correct.
So now Chinese New Year's was about to come. Mm-hmm. And I had the 2 samples in the spot with me. And I'm like, damn, my manufacturer hits me up. She was a nice lady. And she like helped me out a lot because there was a lot of stuff I didn't know. But she said, Raul, listen, if you don't order your stuff now, Chinese New Year, they take off for a whole month. Like all the factories shut down. Nothing's moving in China.
Nope.
So I'm like, damn, I gotta get them shit. I'm like, I don't know what the heck I'm gonna do. I didn't even have the bread for it or nothing. So I did the math. My first bulk order cost me 6 bands. Right? That's about $46 a hoodie. And it's $37 for the hoodie, $9 to get it shipped to my house.
Wow.
So you gotta know that number when you're pricing the product out.
Absolutely.
Most people they get the price per hoodie, and they don't equate the shipping that your manufacturer charges you to ship it to you.
Yep.
So my base was $46. I had to sell those hoodies for $100 coming out the gate, and I was scared of that.
Yeah.
Again, having the me versus me, I'm like, bro, $100 hoodies, bro.
Yeah.
That's crazy. I'm like, you know what? Again, keep pushing. So what ends up happening is, around that time, I used to watch this dude online called Hollywood Shaq. He's an influencer out from Atlanta. Yeah, but like he could dress for real.
Yeah,
like he's not just like one of these wonky people that just be throwing on whatever. Like big people follow him. He got a clothing brand too. And he's got a lot of his pieces on NBA players and stuff. So I used to watch him all the time. I used to get game from him all the time. And you used to be able to mail your stuff into him. And he used to bring your brand.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So what I did is I was also in this mastermind. Like I paid, I think it was like $20 or $50 a month. Okay. And it was like a school community where a bunch of people, there was this big brand owner in there. And then there was a bunch of us, like people that were aspiring to be brand owners, learning and stuff from him. You know what I'm saying? So I met a lot of cool people. And from the experiences that I had helped some kid. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And me and him were cool or whatever. So I go to order the bulk order. Now, mind you, I don't have the bread for it. So around this time, I was working for this distributor, this Borsa distributor, and he ends up having to sell his company. Like they forced him to sell his company.
Wow.
So he's like, yo, and people don't normally do this. This is how I know, like, just everything was kind of working the way it was supposed to.
Correct.
So he tells me, I think it was like January maybe mid-January.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, yo, I'm gonna get you guys jobs. I'm gonna talk to some of these other people that I know. I'm gonna try to get you guys jobs. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna give you guys a severance package.
Oh wow.
So, for those that don't know, a severance package is
Big
pretty
lump
much
sum.
like, and yeah, when you get laid off at a company, they'll give you, a little bit of money depending on, I don't know how every company does it.
Correct.
Some people say, I'll give you $50,000 or whatever the case is.
Yeah.
They give you a lump sum of money. So you kind of transition to the next part of your life or next job or whatever,
Correct.
but you're not left holding the bag pretty much.
Absolutely.
So he said, yo, I'm gonna give you $3,300.
Mm.
So I said, okay.
Okay.
Now,
Halfway
mind
there.
you, this is how crazy it is. My bulk order is 6,000. To get an order started, you got to pay half up front.
What you have?
So I had to have the 3 bands to pay the manufacturer.
For sure.
Bro, I took that money. It went from my hand to the bank to her account. Like,
Wow.
I didn't waste none of that money. I didn't get no haircut. I ain't buy no sneakers. I ain't done none of that. I said, yo, just throw it in. Now, mind you, I still got to come up with another 3,000.
Yep.
I don't know where I'm gonna get that money from. But I said, you know what? I don't know how I'm gonna do it, but I'm gonna do it. So I started the bulk order, and it took about a month.
Okay.
And then it's getting closer to time now, and
before the
I
Chinese
used to work
New Year.
with this, huh?
Before the Chinese New Year.
Like it was before Chinese New Year. It was definitely, and the way things ship in China, once it's boxed up, you could get something from China in 5 days if you do it. If you do it air shipping.
Yeah.
If you do sea shipping,
yeah, it's right.
It'll be on there for 60 days. You'll be out there all day waiting for your stuff to come.
Fact.
You know what I'm saying? So I used to work with a guy. He was my helper on the truck when I worked for my boss that had to lay us off. But he would always see me on my phone. Like while I was driving, I had the earpiece in. I had the podcast going, and he said, "Yo, who's that?" I'm like, "It's Hollywood Shaq." Blah blah blah. I'm trying to tell him whatever it is.
Yep.
Yeah. So now my bulk order is done. I gotta come up with the 3,000.
Yeah.
So I hit my man's up. I'm like, yo, bro, I need some bread. Like, I'm trying to get this Coleman shit. He's like, yo, Raul, I only got $1,000 for you. I said, bro, I'll pay you back when I get it. He goes, I believe in you. He goes, I see how much you do this. Like, you actually watch all this stuff. I'm investing in you. Cool.
Absolutely.
Boom. Then I borrowed money from my new boss. I was like, yo, bro, like something came up. I need 2 bands. Take it out of my check every week. Like, he's like, I don't know, Raul. I'm like, yo, bro, listen, my back's against the wall.
I need this.
Like, I need it.
Absolutely.
He's like, all right, bet. Boom. So I was able to put the 3,000 together that I needed to finish the rest to have them ship me the bulk. It was already done. You know what I'm saying? So, and that's another key, like for people like trying to do things. You might not always understand or see how it's going to work out.
True indeed.
But just understand, and in your mind, like, it's going to work out.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Like, however it has to work, it's going to have to, it's going to work. Yep. It's going to work or it's going to work.
Works.
Else, you know what I'm saying? Give yourself no option.
Yep.
So, boom, I pay them the money. They ship these boxes to my house. I think I had like 11 boxes in the crib. Mind you, Reed, I've never promoted this piece. Nobody knows who Me Versus Me is. I ain't send it not one person. And I'm like, and then I told myself again, like, there's little steps in the journey that you end up talking to yourself and telling yourself, listen, just keep pushing. Take that next step. Do that one thing. Make that phone call. Send that text message. Whatever. Yep. So I have these boxes in my house, and I'm like, what the fuck I'm gonna do?
Yeah.
What the fuck I'm gonna do with all this stuff? Like, I said to myself, all right, cool. You know what? Worst case scenario, I sell the hoodies for cost, and I get my money back.
True.
Worst case scenario.
Worse.
Best case scenario, I'm able to get all this stuff off. So boom. What I did was I got a list of influencers, including the dude Hollywood Shaq.
Yeah.
I got their addresses to their PO boxes. I shipped out 11 packages for free to different people around.
Smart.
Going back to that kid that I was helping in that little school community that we had, he hit me up. We were on the phone for like an hour. I shipped out the packages to these influencers on a Tuesday. Me and this kid were talking on a Thursday about brand stuff. He was picking my brain, yo, like you seem to know what you're doing. Like I'm on a phone call with him for an hour and a half. I ain't charging him nothing. I was just trying to help somebody else out.
Yeah.
That was Thursday. Sunday, I get a message from the kid, and he said, yo, Hollywood Shaq just opened up your piece on live, and he's going bananas in your shit right now.
Wow.
I said, are you kidding me? He's like, bro. He goes, I screen recorded it for you. So, and now to this day, I still haven't seen the actual video that he put up on his YouTube with my brand in it. But it goes to show you that sometimes you got to be a little blind. Like I was helping this kid that I didn't know from a can of paint. I wasn't charging him or nothing. Something just said, yo, help him. You
Absolutely.
got a lot of information, help this kid. And
Yep.
it'd be the same kid that was in that
Bless you.
live that
Yep.
recorded it for me, and it gave me something to hold on to as the
Absolutely.
start of the brand.
True
And I'm
indeed.
talking about he was going crazy. He said, me versus me. He's like, yo, I was worried when I seen the name. He goes, yo, but you did your shit. Yo, me versus me. You did that. Yeah, he was talking crazy. I'm going crazy. I'm like,
Yeah.
yeah,
One up.
it's
Let's
crazy.
go.
He was going nuts. People in the chat, yo, fire, fire. My website was already up. I had
Correct.
a password page on my website.
So you gotta enter the
Because I had
password to get
already, again,
access.
I had all that set up, collect SMS.
Smart.
So I look at my back end, and I'm starting to get some clicks or whatever. That was on
Yeah.
a Sunday. The following Monday, I'm on my back end on my Shopify, and I'm like, bro, 40 people came to my store. Like, I'm not even promoting it. Like,
Nothing.
bro, I'll never forget. I go to Hollywood Shaq's page. Mind you, this dude has like 400,000 followers on
Super big.
Instagram.
Absolutely.
He's getting tons, like 50,000 likes a post. It was crazy.
Yep.
I get on the page. He has the post up. So I swipe to, I will never forget. It's the third slide, bro. When I seen him in my clothes,
I know you
my heart
lost it.
dropped, bro.
Yeah.
I like everything. My whole brain went numb. Like I couldn't think. I was like, no way. People in my DM, yo, when you dropping,
Straight up.
he must have got it. I think he got it the 3rd of February because I ended up dropping. I said, all right, I got a little motion now.
For sure.
Now I got to put a drop date, and now I gotta mark it till the wheels fall off.
Absolutely.
So I made the drop date was, I think, February 18th. I did it like 2 weeks later. I marketed like crazy. I put yo Hollywood Shaq's favorite hoodie, like just marketing like nuts,
Yeah.
bro. I dropped, bro. I sold out from nothing. I sold out in 9 days. I sold out every piece of
Everything.
inventory.
Wow.
I made $10,000 in about 8 days from not knowing nothing, from not. And bro, I'm like bugging. I'm like, bro, this is crazy.
It's
Like,
crazy.
and then I start looking back at all the spots that like I could have failed at it,
Yeah.
or it could have went different. What about if I didn't? What about if my boss didn't lay me off and I didn't have that $3,000? Or what
Yep.
about if my friend didn't lend me the 1,000? Or
Absolutely.
what about if, you know what I mean? I
What
didn't
if you
take the
stopped that
chance.
dreamer?
When you have a goal or a dream, you got to just keep going at
Keep
it. It
going.
don't matter.
Nope.
You're not going to see immediate results. And
No.
that's one of the main things that I feel like we got to talk about too in today's day and age with Amazon and everything else is instant gratification. Most
Yeah.
people aren't willing to delay their gratification to get their life of their dreams.
Facts.
Most people ain't willing to delay their gratification for 3 months to get the body that they want, or to
Indeed.
save up enough money, or to buy the new car, whatever it is. Most people just ain't willing to do that.
Nope.
But in order to get to where you need to be, you're going to have to sacrifice, and you won't see the returns right away. When I was spending all that $3,500 on my first brand, I didn't see any of the profit. I didn't see any of that. I just said, just keep going.
Keep going.
Keep going, and do whatever you got to do, bro. Send out to influencers. Like, you never know. I didn't think he was going to open my package up like that. To see his reaction, I didn't think I was going to get that reaction out of him, bro. And then what happens is Benny the Butcher's people hit me up. The Game hit me up. Dave East hit me up. Like, I'm talking about all these people were hitting me up, and I'm like, I'm not just, and it sounds crazy, I'm not just giving away my clothes for free.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Because you're gonna, I know, and in the game that they play too is kind of crazy because they have a big name. They'll hit you up. They'll say, "Yo, your piece is fire. Send it to me." You'll send it to them, and then so you send them the free piece, and then they want to charge you for the promo on top of it.
It's crazy.
So they get the bag. You know what I'm saying? They getting all whatever. But the dude Hollywood Shaq, yeah, the dude Hollywood Shaq, he never charged me for the promo.
That's dope.
So what I did was, I signed up to, he had a school community. I signed up to his school community. Okay. And I always wanted to put myself in a position where these people would see me. So I didn't necessarily need the school platform because I already knew a lot of the stuff about the clothing brand.
Correct.
I signed up so he saw me, and now we had a better communication. True indeed. So now what happened was after I sold, what I did was I sold a bunch of stuff, and before I sold out, my first 5,000 back.
Yeah.
Out of that 5,000, I sent him 1,000, and he made another video in the red hoodie for me because I said to myself, now what happens is I could use that video to market it. I could mark the red hoodie sold out, and people are gonna sign up because they want to know when the restock's coming.
I'm gonna stop you. Yeah. We'll pick up right here. You're doing something really, really profound, and I know you're aware of it, but I don't think that we all can take heed to. We all should, but I want to slow it up a little bit because you're doing something that most people skip out on, getting to where they need to get to, paying things forward. You said once I got the money off the promo from free promo for what he did, you paid it forward. Same way that the kid that you was mentoring for that duration paid it forward by screen sharing, putting you back on, telling you what was going on. It seemed like there's a frequency and an energy that's shifting around continuously. And a lot of times we miss out on giving and taking when it comes to things that we want inside of our lives. And you were doing that subconsciously or intentionally. You were doing it. You said, okay.
I do it intentionally. You know why I do it
Yep.
intentionally? Because I help people. I don't ask for things in return. I do stuff without really looking for any kind of monetary gain.
Correct.
I look at it and say, if I do enough good things, if I help enough people, God's gonna help me when I need it.
True indeed.
And again, if you go back to how many people I've helped versus how many people have helped me, it's kind of the same.
Absolutely.
But the thing is that we can't always we're in a society where all we want to do is take, 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 take. And it's cool,
Yep.
but it's really better to give. It's really
Sure
better
is.
to be around people and like that kind of energy, because then you don't expect nothing in return.
True indeed.
But now again, when you're sitting there and you praying for certain things to happen, God's gonna be like, yo, like, you help
Bless him.
this amount of people, I'm gonna help you. You've helped
True
10
indeed.
people, I'm gonna help one person and I'm gonna help you.
True
You
indeed.
understand what I'm saying? So I always try to do that, like whatever I can. If I could do it, I'll do it. You know what I'm saying? But that's what I did with the brand with that particular drop, and then I restocked. And for the most part, like, that's my best seller is the name hoodies.
Yeah.
I've introduced different products. I've introduced t-shirts. I've introduced sweatpants.
The shirt that you have on is one of yours as well, right?
Yeah. This is the get out of your own head t-shirt, and it's pretty much like a kid with somebody. It's like somebody's in his head. You know what I'm
Correct.
saying? And again, it's the premise. To me, I don't like just to make clothes that don't mean anything just because they're cool. The
Meaningful.
message behind the brand is what's really important, because I feel
Absolutely.
like we all have that. It's almost like a broad scope of things.
Yes.
Like, you are the person that's going to get in your own way 99.9% of the time.
Yep.
If you get out of your own way, you could do so much more in this world.
True
But the
indeed.
problem is we have two left feet, right? We
Yeah.
trip on our own stuff. And like, I want people to understand, like, bro, this world, like the internet, like, you could go viral overnight and
Correct.
have people hitting you up and make $1 million business. It's possible, but it's only possible if you believe it's possible,
Yeah.
and if you actually get out of your own way. Like, again, what about if I would have told myself, nah, I can't do this?
We've been over.
Nobody knows me, bro. I'm not gonna sell out. I looked at all them boxes and I said to myself,
How am I gonna sell these?
I'm gonna sell it or I'm gonna sell it. If
Yep.
if I don't sell it like that, I'm gonna put them in the trunk and I'm going to the
Hand-to-hand
mall.
combat.
I'm gonna
Yep.
pop the truck. I'm doing something. Like,
Absolutely.
this inventory is not staying in my house.
True indeed.
Not happening. You
Not
know what I mean?
happening.
But it's just a mentality that I had to have to make sure that at every point
Don't
where I
finish
doubted
business.
myself, you know what I'm saying? Like, yo, Raul, you got it, bro. Just keep going.
You said that you realized you think it was a mindset shift. Was it?
It's always a mindset shift. With business, with anything you want to do, it's a mindset shift. I want to become the best basketball player I could be. Mindset shift is, I got to start training. I got to eat right. It has to, there has to be a mindset shift. Because again, there's going to come those points where you're not going to feel like getting up, where you're not going to feel like showing up that day. I'm sure every day you don't wake up like in the best of moods all the time.
Nope.
You might have not had a good sleep. You might have rolled up on the wrong side of the bed.
Yep.
You know, a bill might have popped out of somewhere. They took money out your account. Now,
Always.
there's a number of things that could sway your day the wrong way. But the premise of it is just to keep going. You know what I'm saying? And to understand, like, bro, if you work hard enough, you could really do anything in this world. How much are you willing to sacrifice?
Ooh. How important is it for you to be familiar with yourself? Because I think a lot of times when we talk about doing these things, a lot of times people have self-doubt. And I think a lot of times they have self-doubt because they don't trust themselves. I heard something from Myron Golden. Myron Golden said, we're the only people that heard every lie that we told ourselves. So meaning that when you told that one lie, nobody else may not know it. When you snuck the cookie out the cookie jar, nobody else may know it, but you know it. Or when you told whatever you told, you see those things. And a lot of times I think we get discouraged and we build the lack of trust within oneself. And when you start not having trust within you, you start not liking, you tend not to trust other people. And I feel that in our environments at times, it's always a doggy environment. So it's like, okay, what is mine, what's yours is mine, and I'm taking everything. And not understanding that it's short lived. When I see other people in other communities and other spaces, you see how people come together as a collective and they got motion and they doing things together. And people don't understand that when you by yourself, you are by yourself. Of course, you have to be motivated and do things for oneself, right? Having self-preservation. But then after that, you got to be part of the collective in order to move the ship forward, in order to have a big emotion, to have bigger impact, in order to have influence over more. So I know initially, even with your brand, I know that initially, okay, it's you. But then you got to rely on the people to do the tech packs. You got to be able to make sure the measurements are right. You got to make sure that these people ship out on time. You got to make sure that everybody's doing a part in order to make this ship move. And I feel like a lot of times we think that we can just do these things by ourselves and I don't need nobody. But in all reality, we won't really be the person or the personnel that we're trying to be in real time if we don't start learning how to work together. And that's one of those things.
That's the thing too. Like it's you could get to a certain place by yourself,
Correct.
right? Like you can do that. But what happens is you catch yourself doing everything,
Yep.
and like it's like in a business, in this business, like I come up with the designs, I do the tech packs, I communicate with the manufacturer, I do everything right now. And the reason
Yep.
I do it right now to begin with is because I want to know how to do it when I start to delegate. Because you can't give somebody a job that you yourself don't know how to do. Because
Absolutely
then
not.
you're gonna end up burning money at that point. You
Yep.
know what I mean? So for me, it's just getting it's systems play a big part in it.
For
You know what
sure.
I mean? Like
For
getting
sure.
everything situated, doing the same thing over and over, whatever, like knowing what it's gonna take to have a successful drop. And then when you want to expand and when you want to do 20, 30, 40, $50,000 a month, whatever, you're gonna have to delegate certain tasks where the more important things that you have to do, that's what you end up doing. Is it
Mm.
creating? Is it the design that's more important, where your time could be better served? Or is it making connections with the stores while
Mm.
you have a designer and while you have somebody else that's looking at the website and stuff like
Correct.
that? You'll realize where your thing is best suited. You know what I
Mm.
mean? But you gotta you everybody just should start off doing the stuff themselves in the beginning
For sure.
before you start delegating. Because again, if you don't know how to do certain stuff and then you give it to somebody else to do and then they mess up, now what? You don't even know how to fix it.
Nope. You know what's crazy? I was discussing with wifey, and one thing I was telling her about myself included, I'm like, I have to start being more in my business because I started to see things that would cause me discomfort. I may pay for this service, I may do this, I may do that, and things aren't the way that I want them to be. But the reason why they
Mm,
aren't because I neglected it for the last 4 months. And then when they go array, and I don't have control over these things, only person I could be mad at or upset at or point the finger at is me because I'm not the one that's communicating. If my
right.
business, you got to be inside of your own business. So a lot of times we delegate these things and we feel like, oh, the job is done. But what you said beautifully is that no, I want to know how to do these things because God forbid something happen, I don't have the power to restructure it, to pivot, to make these things better. You don't have the capacity to learn and know what to even look for. So you giving out to tasks to people to do these jobs, and whether they're doing good or bad job, you can't even
And
distinguish
you got
what
to
it
think
is.
about it, bro. You paying somebody, right? They coming for the paycheck.
Yeah,
It's your business.
correct.
You got blood, sweat, and tears and equity in this joint.
True indeed.
You're gonna do things a lot more and do specific things. You might go above and beyond because it's your business that
Yeah,
maybe
yeah,
somebody else won't go for you because they're like, yo, I'm just getting a paycheck. I'm in and out. It's easy work. You know what I mean?
yeah.
I don't care if his business fails because if his
Correct.
business fails, I'll go somewhere else and get another job doing the same thing.
For sure.
You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
So you gotta like you're always gonna look at your business differently than
Yeah.
everybody else.
Yeah,
You
it's
know what I mean? That's
it's
that's
your
just what it
baby in
is.
your sense. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? So it's like
That's true.
you taking care of it. But if you don't feed the baby not gonna grow. They're not gonna
It's
get
true.
fed. So you got to do those things. And I'm learning that myself because there's things that when it came to my business, hey, I give this design to my homeboy to come up with X, Y, and Z for a new capsule that I want to come out with. And then here it is. It comes back the way that I didn't design it, but I didn't communicate that, and I didn't specify, and I didn't put the hours, and I didn't do the calls, and it hurts me in the long run because it's wasting some of the time that you really don't be able to get back. But I'm
That's
learning
true.
that whatever business that you are in, whether it's making money, whether it's playing a sport, whether it's education, whether it's doing whatever it is, whatever task it may be, whether it's just being a family man, everything requires work. And if you are unwilling to do the work, the job is never going to get done, not to your satisfaction. And this is some of the things that I love to hear when it comes to stories like yours of how much you are in your business. And it's a testament because you're able to speak passionately about it, but you're also able to give real fine detail about some of the pitfalls, some of the successes, even when you're dealing with some people on levels that are celebs and people of this nature. You can distinguish Hollywood from someone else that should say, yo, throw me a hoodie, throw me some, and then now you get the hoodie, yo, pay me also 2 bands for promotion. And you're just like, wait, hold up, I just throw you a bone, and you thinking it's supposed to come back like boomerang, but a lot of times it don't be. And there's no neglect to the person, because these people out there hustling, doing their thing, getting their money, but you got to figure out, okay, where do I draw the bat? Like you said, I got to know, listen, I'm not doing this for free. I'm doing this for my livelihood. I'm doing this to spread the message. I'm doing this to bring people together. I'm doing this to feed my family. There's a lot riding on this. And you are riding on you, and there's a lot of sacrifices that you have taken along the way. You had to borrow money. You had to take a severance pack. You had to get back pay off the job. Yo, I'm working the labor in advance. I'm doing these. So you made a lot of different things work out to make it work.
You gotta want it bad enough. You know what I mean? Like if you want something bad enough, bro, like you'll get it. You know what I'm saying? It's just, that's why when people say certain things, I want to do this or I want to do that, your actions will tell me how bad you want it or not. Like straight up like that. That's just what it is. You could tell the world what you want. You could, behind closed doors, you could tell somebody else what you want. But your actions will show me, like, is he really trying to have that brand, or is he really trying to get that car? Is he really trying to do this? Because if you really want something, you will sacrifice. Like most people just don't want to sacrifice. It's just human nature. You know, at this point. But, you know, I have like a couple of core principles that I stand by, like helping people out if I can, paying it forward if I can, writing stuff down. That's another thing that me and you haven't spoken about, but I wanna touch base on that with you. So when it comes to like, I learned that, and what I do, bro, like, because I wasn't taught a lot about a lot of the stuff when I was younger, but like when it comes to financial freedom and literacy and stuff, I don't know any of that stuff. Like I was never taught that. So now that YouTube's around, YouTube's my best friend. Like I'll go and I'll see how, like, you know, the people that we look at and we're like, damn, I wish I had that car, or damn, you know, the well-off-to-do people, like how they live in their life. They live their life completely different on a different playing surface than we do.
Absolutely.
So I started reading books, Get Rich or Die Trying, Napoleon Hill, like certain things that have taught me about how to create systems, make money, and where you should put your money. But one guy that I ran into online, his name was Brian Tracy. He's an older white dude, and he always says write stuff down. He said, so like he goes, in the next year, write down the top 10 things that you're trying to accomplish, and out of those 10 things, write down the things that are gonna help you the most financially. Take that one thing that's going to change your life financially and write down everything you got to do to get it, whether it be a business, a job, whatever. He said, if it's 20 things, you do 2 things a day, it's going to take you 10 days to do it. So like every drop, I write down like a list of stuff that I need to do for the drop. Is it model pictures, whatever it is? It could be 30 things. And I have a month to do it. I could do 4 things a day. So by the second or third week, I'm already done with everything. Well, the notes app is cool on the phone or whatever. But writing it down, there's a difference between writing it down and being able to cross it off.
Absolutely.
You understand what I'm saying? Like you get a different feeling from it because it's like you accomplished that.
You see the work. Yeah.
And that's where it builds you to keep going. Like, all right, yo, I did those 3. Let me continue. And let me do this and let me do that. You know what I'm saying? So that's one of the core things that I do. But yeah, like I said, bro, like anybody that's watching, just whatever you dream, whatever you're trying to accomplish, whatever you think you want to do, just you got to make sure that you're willing to sacrifice, you know, to get it, because you can do it.
Absolutely.
None of this stuff is impossible. Like I told you about the dude that ran the mile, a 7-minute mile, or the mile under 5 minutes with that Roger Bannister. Up until the point he did it, nobody else had did it. Then when he did it, 3 weeks later, 50 people did it.
Absolutely.
Because they knew that it had been done. So anything you're really trying to do, it's already been done. We put a man on the moon, right? We have Cash App, we have Zelle, we have all this stuff, like all the internet. We have everything's already been done. So whatever it is you're trying to do, you could do it. It's just you're gonna learn certain things. If you don't know anything on it, like me, I didn't know anything on how to produce clothes.
Correct.
I know how to dress. I just didn't know the production. I didn't know measurements. Like I went and bought a tape measure, bro. I never wanted to learn the tape measure. I was like, bro, that's for girls. Girls do that. I'm not sewing.
Straight up.
Bro, you should see me now, bro. I slap clothes on the floor. I look like Tim the Two Man Taylor the way I'm measuring stuff out here. You know what I'm
True
saying?
indeed.
Again, it's a skill that I had to learn in
Yeah.
order to make sure that I knew what was going on in the business. Different fabrics, different GSMs, tech packs. I didn't know what a
Yep.
tech pack was. Just so many things that you learn.
Correct.
But it's like anything else. You're gonna learn these things. You're gonna need these tools in order to make your business successful in whatever it is. Mine just happened to be clothes.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Did you have
Um,
to did you have to dream bigger? Do you think dreaming bigger is a necessary tool in order to get you from to and from?
you always should dream bigger because what
Okay.
happens is your target should be so hard that it makes you stretch and it makes you sacrifice and it makes you be uncomfortable.
I like that.
Because if your dream's not big enough, then you're never gonna stretch that far.
Nope.
And what happens? You can sit there and say, "Yo, I want to make." I didn't know that I was gonna make the amount of money that I've been making. Like I was just like, I want it to be successful. My
Correct.
first drop was 10,000,
Yep.
and then just to put it into context, when me and Ant went out to Atlanta, I spent 20,000 in bulk.
Wow.
20,000 like it's nothing because these clothes they cost so much money. And what I
Absolutely.
did was I sent 10,000 out to Atlanta, and I
Correct.
sent another 10,000 to my crib.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? And whatever I didn't sell in Atlanta, I had to ship back to my house and I just threw it on the website. You know what I mean? I sent it
Yep.
out to influencers. I sent it out to the dude from the Yankees. I
Yep.
sent it out to Fabulous's
Jazz.
DJ, tour DJ.
Yep.
And
And Jazz, he ain't go front. He had it on his. He had it on it's on the Yankee page.
it's on the Yankee page.
Straight up. That's dope,
And
family.
again, how I found that he even had it on was because one of my friends that I had, he modeled for me. And when I first met him, he didn't have a following, but he's like, "Yo, listen, I'm starting my brand." I said, "Look, we both starting. I'll send you the piece. Just make sure you give me flicks."
True
He
indeed.
was the one that said, "Yo, did you check the Yankees thing?" I said, "No, why? What happened?" He goes, "Yo, Jazz Chisholm's in your shit." I said, "What?" I
Word
knew I
up.
sent it to him, and I knew that I spoke to him, like I DM'd him.
True indeed.
And what I learned from one of these, again, another piece of game that a lot of people don't know, but this one brand, he was getting basketball players in his brand. So everybody's
Mm.
like, "How do you do that?" And he said, "Well, the NBA, they have the regular facility that they play at the arena. For instance, the Knicks, they play at Madison Square,
Correct.
but they have a practice
Practice.
facility in
Yeah.
upstate New York."
Yeah.
He said, "That's common knowledge. You go, you find the address to the practice facility,
Straight up.
and you send the hoodie to Jalen Brunson. And what'll happen is it'll come to a secretary or a mailroom, and then they give it to him." When I texted Jazz, I said, "What size? You? I want to send you some hoodies." He said, "A large." I said, "Bet." I sent it to Yankee Stadium.
Yeah.
I got the address from the internet, put it in there. I put his name, and then like you could track when it gets delivered. So it was like delivered to the mailroom.
Correct.
And I sent him that hoodie a month before he wore it.
Mm.
Again, sending it to him, I'm like, "Bro, if he likes it, he likes it. He don't like it, he don't like it."
Yep.
A
But you
month
took
later,
a
he
shot.
threw it on.
You took
Same
a
thing
shot.
with Fabulous as tour DJ.
Yeah.
I found the DJ because that's another rule of thumb. Like most people try to get the artist to wear their clothes. Get your clothes into the
Next
producer's
to him.
hands.
Yep.
And to anybody next to him, his boy, whatever. He gonna look
Absolutely.
at it and be like, "Yo, where the hell that
This
hoodie
is it.
from?
Straight
You
up. I
understand me
need
versus
that.
me? You ain't see it? Nah, yo, order me one. All right, cool,
Absolutely.
boom." And that's how that works.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? And it's a good thing of social proof too, where you
Yeah.
actually show that people actually wearing the brand. You know
Absolutely.
what I'm saying? It's just I love this. I love it. I love coming up with a design. Like I get a high from creating something on a piece of paper, bringing it through the design process, having
Yeah.
it sampled, putting it out, and having people have the craziest reactions to it.
True indeed.
You know what I'm saying? Like
Give you
that
a
to
sense.
me is like there's no other feeling. People and like I had another dude hit me up the other day. He's like, "Bro, I just ordered the hoodie or whatever."
Mm-hmm.
He goes, "I'm ordering it. I ordered another color because I've been getting so many compliments on the sweatpants and the hoodie from you that I had ordered from before."
Fire.
He's like, "Bro,
Yep.
I can't stop ordering the stuff." Or
Yep.
people will hit me and say, "Bro, you gonna make me go broke because you just keep releasing these colors and I'm gonna keep copping it."
Yeah.
Aunt's
Yeah.
sister, his daughter, so Aunt's niece, she keeps every time I post on him, she be wanting Chantel to buy it.
Yeah. See, I need
So
that.
she was like, "Yo, I'm gonna have to stop following you because old girl gonna want to keep ordering all this stuff. Like I'm gonna go broke purchasing that me versus me." You know what I'm saying? But that was pretty cool. And yeah, go ahead.
No, no. I think it's a commendable thing, And it's just a testament to who you are and the work that you have put in. And a lot of times we think things supposed to happen overnight, and your journey wasn't overnight, and it's going to take some trial and error, but the perfection comes out of that. So when you say even writing down on paper versus the notes, I write things down, I scribble, I cross things out. You actually see the work and you see the process, and that's just a reminder of, hey, I don't have a clean slate, because when you go to notes, all you gotta do is erase and everything looks clean.
But
But you're looking at that paper, you see trial and error. You see things getting worked out, and then it's a reminder to tell yourself that, hey, there are gonna be some times where I need to cross some things out. There'll be some new things I gotta implement. There gonna be some things where I rip up the paper and do X, Y, and Z. But that's reality of how life works. Life is a continuum of trial and error, and once we continue to keep working these things out in due time, even though we may not have the answer initially, but we'll know what not to do. When you wrote down the 15 mistakes that you said that you had made, and you recorrected those and redirected and you pivoted, you said, okay, my brand is not going to be the dreamer. It's going to be me versus me. When you start telling yourself these things, you say, you know what? I'm not going to stop here when I don't have the bag and I don't have the money. Oh, I got this package. Oh, I got this money coming in. We're going to put this money here. I don't know where the rest of the 3,000 is going to come from. I'm shipping that out and getting to these other
it's like
people's
blind.
hands.
It's like blind faith. And another thing too,
Absolutely.
the reason why I write stuff down and I don't put it on the notes app is because we're so into our phones that it
Yeah.
don't take nothing for me to go from the notes app
Yep.
to IG or to
Absolutely.
TikTok. At least
Yep.
when you have that book in front of you with everything, you focusing on what's on that book. You focusing on the list. You focusing on
Absolutely.
that piece of paper. You know what I'm saying? That's another reason why I don't put it in my notes section, because I could easily just swipe 3 times and I end up on Instagram, and now I'm mindlessly scrolling for you know what I'm saying, for half an hour when I
Absolutely.
should have really been doing stuff for the brand. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, it's been cool like that. And then the pop up that we did in Atlanta was
I know.
pretty
Tell me about
crazy,
that.
bro. It's the biggest streetwear market, not because it's in Atlanta or whatever, but because people fly from all over the world. They have like things like 300 brands in one shot,
Mm,
like in a big. It's just in a huge place, and I'll never forget. Like I was like, all right, I want to do it. Um, and people know you. Like I built a presence online. Like I'm
community.
in a lot of these chat rooms, like even on TikTok. I get on people's lives all the time. They don't know me. A lot of people don't know me as Raul. They know me, yo, me versus me, what up? That's what they
Absolutely.
know me as.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? But so a lot of people are like, are you going to streetwear? You going to streetwear? And I'm like, I have to go to streetwear. You know what I mean? That's what a lot of people buy from me from Atlanta.
True indeed.
So I'm like, yeah. So boom, um, I ordered the bulk and I bought the tickets. I had to like what I did was I have a cousin that lives down in Atlanta, and he actually lives maybe like 10 minutes from the spot that they actually
Okay.
throw the thing at. So
That's
I
sweet.
told him, I said, bro, listen, not only am I like if I can ship the stuff to your crib, but I want you to work the booth with me.
Mm,
I told Ant the same thing. I
true
work the
indeed.
booth. You'll come work the booth. I said, you know what I mean? I'll pay you whatever. And he said, yo, Rod, he's like, yo, but I gotta go work Monday. I said, yo, take off. I'll pay for your day off. I said, just come
Mm,
out.
let's
And the
go.
reason I did that is
Let's go.
because me and Ant, we've had like a really good relationship for a very long time.
Absolutely.
And I feel like, you know what I'm saying? Like he hasn't always been the most optimistic person,
Yeah.
but I'm super optimistic. So I
Absolutely.
try to rub off on him as far as the optimistic part. You know what I'm saying?
True indeed.
So what I wanted to do was bring him along the journey with me, so
Let
he
him
would
see it.
see what's possible if you just
Absolutely.
have like, yo, you could do it, I could do it. You know what I mean? Like
Yep.
even like when he was telling me, yo, you should speak to Reed because your story's crazy.
It is.
My story's only crazy because I made it, but it wouldn't have
Yeah.
been crazy if I didn't make it, if I would have been pessimistic towards it.
Yeah.
And I know he's had different goals and dreams and stuff like that. So I want to show him, like, bro, like if you have goals and dreams, you could attain them joints.
Absolutely.
Look where we're at. Look
Yep.
what we're doing.
True
You
indeed.
understand what I mean? So
Absolutely.
whatever, we got out there. I did a photo shoot while I was out there. I met a lot of cool people. We set up the booth. It was my first time doing it. Like I didn't know from a can of paint how to set anything up. We was all kind of learning on the fly.
True indeed.
Ant was steaming the clothes. Um,
Let's go.
I had to buy like hangers, all the stuff that I need. I shipped from Amazon. I shipped it to Atlanta. My
Yep.
clothes, I shipped it to Atlanta. I took a flight out there, and then we did the joint. I think it was Saturday and Sunday, and it was just dope, man. Like people like you don't really realize how many people rock with you on the internet until you see them
Yeah.
in person.
True
Or you
indeed.
hear somebody saying, yo, that's me versus me. That's you know what I'm saying? And you're just looking like, bro, like, what are you guys talking about? You know, because you're just not used to it. And another thing that I've had like that I get is I get blinder syndrome. So
Mm.
like for instance, when I'm going through something,
You just
I don't
tunnel.
really think about anything else. I think about that and I
That's
don't
it.
let like as it's happening. So for instance, like the first day People were coming up, we're collecting payments, people trying on hoodies. It was like normal to me, right?
Yeah.
But then what happened was there came a point where somebody didn't show up for like 5 minutes, and my brain was just like, Raul, where the hell are you right now?
Yeah.
You're in Atlanta doing Atlanta streetwear. You're
Indeed.
selling clothes like after failing a brand. Like, this shit is crazy. And
Indeed.
then what happens is I have time to kind of like exhale
It is.
and absorb what's actually happening. Because when you're going through something, you're not really like keen to like, oh, yo, I'm really doing this.
Yeah.
It isn't until you get a time, like a second to yourself. I looked at Ann, I said, bro, what the fuck is going on? Like, what is going on? And Ann's looking at me like, motherfucker, you should know. You brought me out here. I'm like, but again, because I just be like straight, I'm like, all right, I got to drop. I got to promote. I got to do this. You don't really look at it in totality. But when I had a chance to just like kind of smell the roses kind of deal,
Yeah.
I almost broke down, bro. I was in there. I was like, bro, this is crazy. Wow. And then my father showed up.
Powerful.
Because he lives in Atlanta.
Yeah.
So I had told him, oh, yo, I'm out here, whatever. He's like, oh, I don't feel well, whatever. I was like, all right, cool. I was like, you know, if you can make it, cool. If not. So mind you, we were standing most of the day. Like Aunt was standing, my cousin was standing, I was standing, like, and we were there we had to be setting up by like 10:30, 11, and the spot opened up, I believe, at like 1 o'clock. So from 1 to 9, bro, just straight selling clothes. So I finally sit down, bro, and I hear somebody like a familiar voice. Oh, so you just sitting down doing nothing? I turn around, I see my pops. I'm like, yo, that's crazy.
Surreal.
He's out
Super
here,
surreal.
you know? Yeah, it was like super surreal. And you know, he then like we were talking, and then like some customers came. So I said, yo, Pop, I gotta do my thing. I'll be right back.
Absolutely.
So boop, boop, boop. I'm over here. And I could people watching me. And I felt like in that moment, like I felt proud. I was like, damn, like watching my pops watch me do this. Like it's just super surreal, you know what I mean? And we had a moment, you know what I mean? Like we embraced for a while, and he said, I'm proud of you. He goes, you know, he told me he's like, you know, you can't stop. He goes, you started something that you can't stop. He's like, you gotta keep going.
Gotta keep going.
And that hit me as far as like at a point in time where, you know, like you're actually doing something. You know what I'm saying? Like you're not where you want to be, but you're doing something.
Absolutely.
You on the right track. If you continue to do what you do, keep your head down, you know what I'm saying? You're gonna be Gucci. So that was that. And it was just dope. You know, we ended up eating like at a steakhouse before we left. It was just like, and like when I do it again, I'm gonna do it the same way. I'm gonna do it with the same people. You know what I'm saying? The whole week was just dope. You know what I'm saying? I got to see family. I got to see my pops. I got to sell clothes. I got to meet a lot of like, bro, like a lot of these influencers, bro. I was able to talk to them. You know, people like, yo, bro, I seen those sweatpants, bro, like going crazy. Within the first day, like I had the sweatpants, right? And the thing is that in Atlanta, they're very baggy. Like they like the baggy, oversized fit because they wear like the Balenciagas and stuff like that.
For sure.
So my first day, we didn't bring all the inventory because I didn't want to have to bring all the inventory to the spot to then have to bring it all back later.
True.
It got to the point that we were selling those pants so fast that my cousin had to go back to his crib 2 different times on the first day to bring more inventory because we were just selling it out like nuts. Like it was crazy.
Beautiful feeling, right?
Bro, it's the craziest feeling. It's dope. It's a different feeling when you weren't expecting it like that. Like,
Indeed.
You know what I mean? It's one thing if you're like, yeah, I know I'm gonna do that.
Yeah,
I didn't know what I was gonna do. It was my first pop-up ever. And then again, you got people from different facets of life, like little kids. Mommy, that's the me versus me I seen. I wanted mommy. Like, bro, like I was like, I didn't even know that was possible like that. You know what I'm saying? And then the way I would do it is because you feel the material is heavy, is comfortable, it's real good quality.
All day.
So what I would do is I wasn't forcing people to buy it. The minute they stopped and looked at it, I would say, "You want to try it on? What size?"
No brainer. They already knew it.
And they'd be like, "No, I'm good." I said, "Yo, just try it on." I said, "You don't gotta buy it, just try it on." But what happens when you put it on and you get the feeling?
Fit. I mean, it's impeccable.
You're like, "Yo, how much?
This is well crafted.
You got this in a medium? Let's go. I'll take the blue. I'll take the gray or whatever." And that's what happened. And we were just doing that consistently. You know, girls would come with their mans, and she'd be like, "Well, I think this is so cute." I'm like, "Yo, try it, babe." Put it on. We had a mirror. Man was like looking at it. He was like, "Oh." He's like, "All right, I'll take it. Loop, bag it up. You know, we out of there."
Yep.
But that was a really dope experience. And just like I said, being able to share stuff with Aunt and with some of my family members, just showing them like what's what. Like, I mean, even like DL hit me up. He was like, "Yo, you been doing it by yourself, or you got a partner?" I said, "Nah, this is on me." He said, "Bro, keep doing your thing. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Like, it just is like, not that I didn't do it for people to give me kudos. I did
Yeah.
it because for the love of what I wanted to do it for.
Absolutely.
But when your peers and people like your family members and stuff, they actually start like recognizing it and they tell you,
Yeah.
yo, bro, you doing
It's a
your
good
thing. Like,
feeling.
it's a good feeling. It
Yeah, it
makes you
is.
like, all right, cool. Like the hard work was worth it.
For
You know what I
sure.
mean? But at the end of the day, I wanna be clear. I'm not worried if people don't like it or not like that. Like, I
Yeah.
don't really get obsessed with if everybody don't like it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because it's not everybody's cup of tea.
Correct.
You
Yep.
understand what I'm saying? So I'm okay with, if you don't like it, it's cool. Like,
Let
my
me ask you.
pops wouldn't go shopping at Balenciaga, right? He
Yeah.
just wouldn't spend his money over there. But I would, or you would, or somebody else would.
For
Everything isn't
sure.
for everybody, and I gotta understand that, and I'm okay with that. You know what I'm saying? It goes back to what we had the conversation about earlier about finding your voice.
Yeah.
My voice is, I don't care.
Yeah.
You can like it, you can don't like it. Cool.
Hey.
It's a gazillion people in the world, bro. Like,
For sure.
all I need is a little percentage to rock with me. If you
Yeah.
rock with it, cool. If you don't rock with it, cool. You know what I mean? It is what it
What
is.
what is your plan? Where do you see yourself in the next, you know, upcoming years, months, etc.? What do you see yourself when it comes to the brand or yourself in general? How do you see this turning out, or the next stepping stone of, you being an entrepreneur and a businessman?
Um, I got big goals, man.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's things in my head that people couldn't even fathom. Like, I'm trying to do 200,000 in a month. Like,
Yeah.
people,
Tell them again.
it's
Say it again, please.
the huh?
Say it again, please.
200,000 in a month.
Yes, sir.
But like, it
Yeah.
sounds crazy until it ain't.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? Like, it
Yep.
sounds like nuts until it ain't.
Yo,
And
say yo,
you
please,
know,
tell them one more time, man. They need to hear that
I'm
number
trying to
again.
I'm trying to hit 200,000. You know what I'm
200K,
saying?
baby. Let's go.
And that's in a month. Like, I've seen people do, there's a brand called Bottega Desires, bro. They did $1 million in like the span of a week. Like, the money is
Big
just
plays on the
crazy. If you,
table.
if you do it if you do it properly, you can't just throw stuff out there and think it's gonna sell. But
Nah.
that's one of my monetary goals. And then to get into more stores,
Yep.
I'm already in a couple of stores. And to get in contact too, I have one guy that he's like a personal shopper. So like
Okay.
so what he does is, so like, if an NFL player wants to go shopping,
He
he don't
take
want to
him.
go into the mall, or he don't want to go into these places because he's probably gonna get bombarded with people for autographs or whatever. So what
Yep.
this dude does is he sets up like in I don't know if he has a warehouse, but he has like, it's like a clothing store, and he
Yep.
gets it from all the biggest brands, Veil Lies,
Mm,
whatever, whatever, and then people come shop with him.
that's dope.
So I had him, he hit me up. I sent him 4 pieces. And then a month went by and he hit me up and he bought another $2,000 worth of stuff. And wholesale is where the real bag is at, because wholesale, you get paid cash right away.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't make as much per item, but
But you get the
you're
on
selling
demand.
more at a time.
Yep.
You
More
understand what I'm
quantity.
saying? And
Yep.
every time I drop something, this dude hits me up. I
Yeah.
dropped the hoodies or whatever. He's like, yo, I
Need
need,
those.
I need 30 hoodies. And I'm like, damn, 30 hoodies? All right, that's gonna be $3,500. He's like, all right, cool. How you want me to pay? Like, he
Straight
didn't
up.
even blink.
Yeah.
And I had the sweatpants, and then it got into summer a little bit. So then I made the sweatpants into shorts. He hit me up. He's like, yo, I need you to send me
Need
some of them
those.
shorts. Then he seen the cargos. He's like, yo, what size do you have? I said, I have 36s. The biggest size, I have 36s and 34s. I have like 12. He said, yo, I need them all.
Mm-hmm.
Take them off the website. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just,
Let's
it's crazy. Like,
go.
you know what I'm saying? It's it's
Yeah.
it's, it's so crazy.
I
It's
want,
so crazy.
I want to tell you that I love and I'm super proud of you for everything that you have doing, everything that you are contributing to the culture, yourself, your family, us.
I appreciate you, bro.
It's a commendable attribute that I know you're aware of, but I wanted to give you flowers in real time because I think we don't do that as often. And a lot of times we feel like the competition is with other people, and your brand signifies that there's no other competition in the world but you versus
Touch
yourself.
yourself, bro, for
And
real.
and it's powerful, man. And you don't. I mean, I say you don't know, but you really do know. But I mean, how the impact is going to spread worldwide because people are recognizing it from all facets of life, from entertainment business, from sports, from us, from your community, from your internet presence, from in real time when you meet people on the streets. That's me versus me brand from children. So that speaks volumes of what you had crafted, from the work you have put in. It signifies that. And I know that you have a long journey ahead because it's early. It's very early.
Hmm.
And although you had some mishaps, it still led you to where you are now to look at, okay, that 200K. Yeah, we speaking that into the ethos. And we putting that in the universe. No, we got that number out there because it's real, and I know that that's feasible.
It's true.
I could attain that. And the more and more you keep gearing yourself in the positions that you are doing, keep learning, keep growing, just being better, just be crafting where the mistakes at, keep chopping those things up like you've been doing, writing these things down. Everything is going to happen when the time is right. It may not be tomorrow. It may be next week. It may be a year from now. Whenever it
And as
happens, it's going to
we got
happen.
to plant the seeds. We got to get used to planting the seeds and watching stuff grow over the course of time. It's again,
Absolutely.
we're in a microwave society where everything is now, now, now. If I buy Amazon, it'll come in 2 hours. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Like TV dinners, heat them up, it's done. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yep.
just with life in general, it's just not like that. That's not real life. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? And for people that are watching that got dreams, whatever it is, bro, like you could be whatever. You just have to know like you're gonna have to put in work. You know what I mean? And if you don't want to put the work in is one thing, but if you
Yeah.
really want to put the work in, you could really accomplish whatever you set your mind to. Like I
Absolutely.
said, this is I've tried so many businesses, like and this one, not that it's stuck, but like it's just I try different things. You don't know what's gonna stick until you
Yeah.
try it, right? You don't know
Absolutely.
if the shot's gonna go in if you don't shoot it. Like I think Wayne Gretzky said, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take.
Yep.
I said,
Absolutely.
I'm be
I'm gonna
throwing them
shoot
up.
it
If they hit rim, if they don't hit rim, I don't care. I'm
back.
chucking
Yep.
everything.
Checking
I
it
don't
up.
care. We'll see
Can
what
you
happens. But
can
I
you leave
appreciate
us?
you too. Like I said, like
Oh,
you're doing stuff for the culture and the things that you're doing with your platform. You know what I'm saying? Like to give you flowers in real time is the same thing. You know what I'm saying?
appreciate that,
Like
loved one.
we need people like you, especially in the community that we've
Yeah.
grown up around,
Yep.
to show somebody to show some of the younger generation like what's actually possible and
Absolutely.
how you can make wrongs and get to where
Still
you need to be.
corrected.
You know, you
Yep.
try to minimize it,
Yeah.
obviously, but at the end of the day, your mistakes don't make you who you are.
Nope.
You know, it's just another part of your story when it's told. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
So
Man, that's powerful. Couldn't said it better myself, man. I appreciate you.
I
We
appreciate you too,
definitely
Brody.
going to cross paths in the near future with
Bro, listen,
more.
you ever need anything with this
Absolutely.
Golden Man stuff or anything in general, you hit me up. Don't
Oh, that's
hesitate, bro.
mandatory. You know I'm tapping
Like
in.
I said, we family, we locked in for real. And whatever I
Absolutely.
can help you with, or you know what I mean? Like I
Appreciate
said,
that, God.
I feel like before we leave, the one thing about
Yep.
like us in New
Yeah.
York and
Yep.
like other states is New York is every man for themselves.
Yep.
Nobody is like so back in the day, right? When Pun was alive and they did the Fantastic Four and they did these freestyles all together, that was a different era, right?
Yeah.
But you look at like down south, a lot of the rappers in Atlanta do stuff together.
Yeah.
When
Been doing
DJ
that.
Khaled had to run in Miami, they were doing everything together. We're the only state out of like these major states that don't want to come together and do stuff. It's
Yep.
rare because it's like every man for themselves. I'm
Yep.
trying to get a bunch of people that are in the brand space that we could all share and network and do different things. Yo, you know a
Yeah.
photographer. Yo, you need this, you need that. You know what I'm saying? Because then
Absolutely.
it'll just become easier for us to prosper. But I feel like that's something that I'm trying to work on too.
Yeah.
There's a couple of people out here in New York that I know that have brands. I would like for us to, again,
Yeah.
we ain't not about being the best friends, but being like a collective, like you said,
Absolutely.
where like everybody official, right? You had the
Indeed.
collective, you had the umbrella, but then you had the individual artists. You know what
That's
I'm
a
saying?
fact.
And then when y'all came together, y'all worked on this beat. Yo, you got a beat. Yo, you got a
Yep.
hook. Yo, you got a bridge. You know what I'm saying? Make it
Absolutely.
like that. So I want you to know, like, I'm extending the olive branch to you.
Thank you.
Don't hesitate to call
Oh,
me,
you know
text me,
that.
whatever.
Yeah.
Like,
Not at
yo,
all. You
I
know
got a
that.
question. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Like we locked in, we family for life. So I
Absolutely.
appreciate you. I appreciate the opportunity, bro. And it's all love
Yes.
for real.
Yes. Big love, family. Man, I appreciate you. It's up. That's it. We signing out, man.
That's it, man.
Go tap. Tell
All
them
right,
where they
bro.
can check. Tell them where they can catch you at.
On Instagram, you could catch me at Me vs Me Studios, me vs Me Studios.com. I'm working right now. I'm working on like a little like a little summer drop. It's gonna probably be some hats and some t-shirts,
Yeah.
and then I got some other stuff coming in September. But like I said, just follow the brand. Like we trying to really empower people. It's not just about clothes. It's about the message that the clothes has behind it, and it really makes you feel when you put it on. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
And I wanna help everybody. Like I said, if I could help one person, then I done did my job. You know what I'm saying?
True
So,
indeed.
like I said, Brody, I appreciate you. And
Big
anything you
love.
need, just hit me up for real.
Absolutely. We out of here. Signing out.
All right, bro.
Yes, sir.